You know, I've been very advocate here on my channel about supporting the Doomsday Project Saga, or at least being a fan behind it and doing what I could as a fan to let people see exactly what I'm talking about when it comes to this saga. Now, of course, I'm talking about the SatAM, Sonic SatAM final 4 episodes of Season 2, if not the series itself. And looking back on the Doomsday Project Saga, if you will, kind of consider this a bit of episode review, if you will. Looking back on it as a whole, and I'm talking all 4 episodes, and even the one that led into it, I have to give Ben Hurst and the people behind the series a lot of credit for coming up with a story that basically got a lot of people's attention. I mean, yes, this story was being released at a time where basically the show was running side by side with Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and anything that Sonic would do to get people's attention, it seemed that Power Rangers would do something else to get their attention even more. But when I look at these final 4 episodes, the ones that were part of the Doomsday Project, as well as The Void, I have, the episode that basically prelude the Doomsday Saga. Again, like I said, I have to give a lot of credit where it's due. I mean, at the beginning of the season, the second season, we pretty much knew that something big was going to happen. I mean, when you have a new character, tell Sonic that basically there is a list of freedom fighters out there. There are other freedom fighters out there, and there's a list that contains each of the group's names and their locations, and that they're all looking for Sally. You knew, honestly, something big was coming up that year, but you just didn't know what just yet. And then on top of that, several episodes later, you get the 2-parter Blast to the Past, which I believe to this day should have honestly been the series premiere, or the season premiere, I should say. I mean, nothing against Game Guy, or even Sonic Conversion, if you will. Nothing against those 2 episodes. But I feel that Blast to the Past would have fit better. I really do. You would have had a 2-part season premiere, for the second season, not only to give people an idea from an origin standpoint on how everything came to be in the world of Sonic and the Freedom Fighters, but also give them an idea of exactly what kind of season they would be in for. But, needless to say, despite that, this season was actually pretty good. Yeah, it had a few hiccups here and there, with the mini episodes here and there, like Fed Up with Antron, Ghostbusted, Odd Couple, Rebecca. You take those out and nothing really gets affected. But getting back to Doomsday Project, the Doomsday Project Saga, each episode I felt was done very well. I mean, I said it before, I'll say it again. It felt like when you edited these episodes together as one full-length film, it felt like nothing was being left out. It felt like nothing was just standalone. It felt like you were transitioning, I should say, from one moment to another, from one scene to another. It just worked. It just seamlessly, flawlessly worked, in my opinion. And the Void episode, to me, really helped kick us off in this direction. It really did. Because not only did it give us backstory on the fact that Robotnik was not the one originally intended to take over Mobotropolis. There was actually Axis or Ixis Naugus, or just Naugus as we knew him then, that was going to be the one in charge, and Robotnik and Snively were going to be his minions. That really tells you something, that, hey, there is somebody more powerful than Robotnik that even he has to answer to, or even he fears. And we saw that throughout this episode. We really did. We saw that fear that, he didn't want to confront Naugus, but when he did, in a sense, you could tell it was not only out of fear, but it was out of loyalty. Like, he has to trick Naugus. Like, he attempted to basically, when he finally encountered him, he attempted to trick Naugus by going out there to try to make him believe, look, I'm still loyal to you. I didn't mean to betray you. It was a mistake. I would never betray you. You're my boss. You're my master. And it was I have to give him credit. I'm trying to find the words to say here. It was so intriguing to see that, to see the fact that Robotnik actually had somebody higher up than him, had a bigger bad, as the old saying goes, that he had to answer to. And in this case, it was Nagus. Now, as far as, Sonic and Sally and Bunny and Ari and the list of freedom fighters go when it came to this episode, we find out that her father had the list on him the entire time. And it wasn't just like a regular scroll list or anything like that. No. It was a list that basically was like this. It's like he just took it out of his, he just had to reach into his pocket, and there's the list. Just turn it on, boom, there's the list. And I thought that was a good move. I thought that was an ingenious move on our part to basically have the father be the one that had the list, that Ari was speaking of. And of course, when you introduce something like the Void, like they did in the first episode, thus being the title of this episode, the prelude to the Doomsday Saga, you have to come back and revisit it, and they did. And they didn't just revisit it with Sonic or Robotnik or the King or anything like that. No, they revisited it, with Sally and Bunny and all that. They brought them into the fold. Heck, they touched upon it in Blast of the Past Part 2, because this is how we see how Robotnik got rid of Nagus and the King. So we pretty much had an idea then of what exactly happened, but we didn't know at that time that Nagus was basically, like I said, Robotnik's boss. He was the one that Robotnik would answer to. He would fear. So I thought that was, really intriguing, like I said, and ingenious for them to put that in there. So I really liked it. I really did. I really enjoyed what they did with this episode. And enjoyed the fact that Nagus was watching both Sonic and Sally and kind of getting an idea of, okay, how can I get Sonic's speed to me? How can I draw him to me? And then obviously spying on Sally and seeing what she's looking up and studying. Boom, instant idea, instant baiting, instant baiting, I should say, for Sonic to come to the Void to get, to not only to get and rescue Sally and Bunny, but to also be there for Nagus to try to get out. And Nagus did find a way to get out, although he didn't calculate, supposedly, what was going to happen as a result. He didn't really calculate that. The other thing I have to give him credit for as well is they finally brought Nicole, full circle. They really, the one thing about Nicole back in the first season and somewhat in the second season is she was just always talking, statistically, she was, mentioning, and she was talking in techno-babble kind of language that Sonic was like, seriously, Nicole, I'm here, can you translate it to English? And you kind of started seeing little cracks here and there. Nicole starting to come into her own, like trying to maybe balance how she talks to Sally compared to how she talks to Sonic. And in this episode, they brought her full circle. I can only imagine had Ben Hurst knew about the design Nicole was going to get in the comics, you can only imagine him probably bringing that design into play here, for this episode, and see how Sally would react to seeing Sonic showing up with this Lynx by his side, if you know what I mean. So, I have to give him credit for, like I said, bringing Nicole full circle. That was really cool. Bringing her out of her shell, if you will. But the one thing that really got to me a lot was the ending. And the ending basically being the fact that, the King and Nagus had to go back because they were turning to crystal, and if they would have remained, they would have died. So Sally, telling her father they're going to find a way to get him out and everything. And then once they leave, and then she's embracing Sonic, and you hear the King's voice saying, "So long, Sally," that kind of does touch you a little bit. That really does get to you a little bit, because here she is established in the first season. We get it mostly here in the second season. She's looking for her father because she knows that with her father, by her side and by Sonic's side, there's no way Robotnik can win. And just the fact that when Robotnik thought he saw, or what he assumed, like a lot of us, even Sonic, thought was the real deal, the real king, being brought out by Sonic from the void, you could hear the tone in Robotnik's voice that he was not happy about that, because he knew that if there was anybody else besides Sonic that could stop him in his tracks, it was the king. But as we find out, that wasn't the case. That was actually just Naugus in disguise. But anyway, this episode, as a prelude to the Doomsday Project Saga, the 4 last episodes, like I said, I thought they did a really, really good job. I like the fact that, when Sonic gets summoned by his uncle to find out about this big thing going on, and that the fact that Robotnik has all his commanders in on it, his generals and commanders in on it, even Sonic basically says, Doomsday Project? Sounds mondo ugly. Like, he already knows something's not right. Something's like, something's not gonna come. Basically, Sonic senses, what I'm trying to say is Sonic senses something's not going to be right. And he could just tell. He could just tell that things are going to get bad and things are going to get, as he says, mondo ugly with this thing. But overall, though, like I said, this episode to me did a lot. It basically reunited us. It basically brought everything so far to that point in the second season full circle. It got Ari back, made him a part of the Not-Whole Freedom Fighters. It brought in the list that was established in the first episode. It gave us basically the foundation point, the starting point for the Doomsday Project Saga. It gave us everything. It gave us even the origin of the fact that Robotnik was not, like I said, the one originally meant to be in charge or take over Mobotropolis. It was supposed to be Naugus. But then, of course, we get to the final 4 episodes. And, of course, we have to have a break, though, of course, with the Odd Couple Rebecca episode, which, again, you could put to the side, take out, and nothing would be affected. But here, though, starting with Cry of the Wolf, I thought was really good. We get introduced to the Wolfpack Freedom Fighters. We get introduced to Lupe, or Loopy, as Sonic calls her. And the story I thought was great. I really liked it. You could tell that the Wolfpack was based off Native American tribes. You could just see that. And it could even, referenced, if not shown to be a heavy influence in the comic adaptations. So you could see that. And I really like the fact that it shows right at the beginning that, not only is the Not-Whole Freedom Fighters resourceful when it comes to things from Robotnik, but it's also groups like the Wolfpack. So I enjoyed this. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the fact that it's established that they've been salvaging and, stealing stuff from Robotnik and all that from his camps and all that to try to fight back. I really like that. I really enjoyed that. And I like that this was the episode where pretty much they were able to get all the freedom fighters from all the other regions of the world together for this fight, and that Lupe was the one that was able to get word out to them about what was going on. It also established the fact that the Doomsday Project was going to be everything that they worried about, or worried that it would be, because here we get introduced to a Doomsday Pod that is seemingly indestructible until they come up with a solution later on. But again, I liked the episode. I liked the fact that this first chapter or part, really established, who the other freedom fighter groups were, mostly the Wolfpack. It gave us a new character in Lupe. I like that. So, really good job on their part. And then we get to Druid Hedge, the next episode, the next chapter, next part, if you will, or the next act in the miniseries, or in the movie, or the saga, whatever you want to call it. And I love that this was the episode, because everybody has been wondering, okay, when is Tails going to get an episode? When is he going to come to the forefront? Because we've seen him have moments in the beginning of season 2 We've seen him have moments in season 1, but he's never really come into his own. And they've been hinting, even in Fed Up with Antoine, with that short, and believe it or not, that did have significance, if you will. As well as the other one that followed, which was Ghostbusted. Believe it or not, those are the only 2 shorts that had significance. The fact that, they were training him. They were training him for the day he would become a freedom fighter. And we see that it's not just Sonic here in Droodhedge that's training him, or in Ghostbusted. We see it's Bunny. And then as Tails references here in Droodhedge, it's also Sally. So you got basically the 3 leaders of the freedom fighters training him for his inevitable ascension into being a full-fledged member. And this episode, I thought, did a great job in bringing him full circle. Or bringing that all full circle and giving Tails his time in the spotlight. Because we see that it's Tails that comes up with the plan to basically fool Robotnik into thinking, they're going to take one of the items, one of the MacGuffins in this episode, and destroy it. And what those MacGuffins are, at the beginning, is what we find out are known as the Power Stones, if you will. And we find this out when we see Sally arrive with Dulcie in Robotropolis at Uncle Chuck's behest. And Uncle Chuck gives her a recording that he got, a one-sided recording, a one-sided conversation recording, as he tells Dulcie. And we find out about Droodhedge. And we find out that it was a royal family secret, but we also find out Sally can't find out about the information, or can't get the information, because her father programmed a lot of things into Nicole, a lot of programs and stuff that she would need, but some were time locked, time coded until she came of age, which would be 18. And what's crazy about it is Sonic, and this is after Nicole comes out of her shell. And Sonic's the one that's able to convince Nicole, hey, Nicole, what happens if Robotnik gets the Power Stones? And then Nicole explains what happens. And then Sonic's like, well, then that means Sally wouldn't come of age, which means she wouldn't get the information. She wouldn't be here to get the information. And that's enough for Nicole to be like, you're right. I can't believe that. You're right. I gotta give her access right now because she probably won't be here. And there you go. Instant billing, there you go. They get the information because, Sonic, being who he is, just straight up tells Nicole, what's the point of keeping the information from Sal if she's not going to be alive to, get to unlock it. So yeah, they kept, that momentum with Nicole coming out of her shell and Sonic being able to talk to her in a way that where he was able to be the one that gets the information out of her, which I thought was cool. But again, this whole episode, towards the end, focused and spotlighted Tails, because he showed, like earlier, he showed what Sally taught him about, breaking and hacking interlocks and communications and stuff. Like codes and all that to unlock things. So I like that. And I like the fact that all the training paid off in this episode because, like I said, in the end, it's revealed that Tails is the one that came up with the idea to dupe Robotnik into thinking they were going to destroy one of the Power Stones that they had. Robotnik had one of them, but now they had the other. So that was really cool. It was a really great moment for Tails, in my opinion. And then we get to Spyhog. Now, this episode obviously is one that a lot of people pretty much knew was, inevitably going to happen because, it's established in Sonic Conversion that Uncle Chuck, after regaining his free will permanently, is going to be a spy for the Freedom Fighters. He's going to give them intel and information and heads up about what's going on so they can stay a step ahead. So you knew, with that being part of the season's storyline, that inevitably it was going to have to be brought up, and that the villains, mostly the main villain, in this case Robotnik, would have to pretty much figure out that, hey, someone's spying on us. They're giving information to Sonic and his crew. We need to deal with this. So I like the idea that you have Robotnik doing what he can to find out who the spy is, and then inevitably finding out that it's Uncle Chuck, because he has this one of these bots that he's had since season 1. Lift up, the head kind of pulls back a little bit and it has a camera, and it's kind of like a homing camera trying to locate a signal that's unauthorized, and obviously they find it, and then that's how Uncle Chuck gets captured, and Robotnik finds out that it's been Uncle Chuck, or Sir Charles as he calls him, the whole time. And at the same time, obviously, it reveals to Robotnik that, hey, your control over the roboticized citizens is not as powerful as it used to be, or you thought it was. So that was really... So yeah, you knew inevitably it was going to happen, but this being a Sonic cartoon, an episode, and one that involves Antoine, you knew there had to be some hijinks with Antoine, and there was some shenanigans. I mean, one of the things that everybody was always wondering about with Antoine himself was, is he ever going to get what he's been hoping for? Is he ever going to get, the attention of the princess? Is he going to get a kiss from her? Is he going to get this? Or is he going to get that? And this is the episode where it finally happened, because what happens, they get the information about these tanker schedules, to where they're going to drain the oil, the gas out of the tankers. And they'd have these magnetic vests that they put under, that attaches them to the bottom of the tankers. And Bunny, I love Bunny's line here. She's like, when she attaches herself to it, with her vest, she's like, well, so she says something along the lines of, wow, this, makes me feel attractive and all that. And you kind of get the idea of what she's talking about there when she says, this vest kind of makes me feel attractive. Well, magnetic vest makes me feel attractive. And it's like, okay, we kind of get what you're saying there. But it isn't until a little later that the draining basically the tankers, and Sally's vest disconnects. A wire disconnects, comes loose, and she, in her connection, is disabled, and she's hanging, and Antoine's right next to her. So Antoine grabs the belt, the vest belt, just long enough for her to reconnect the wire, and thus he's able to regain the magnetism that they need, or she needs, to stay connected to the tanker, which she does thank him. And then later on, of course, Antoine being Antoine, he brags about it. Sonic doesn't believe him, but then here comes Sally to pretty much confirm what happened, and she kisses him on the cheek, and that's all he's wanted. But of course, Antoine being Antoine, he lets it go to his head and thinks, oh, I'm going to be heroic. I'm going to be this. I'm going to be that. And it causes him to get into trouble. It causes Snively to mistake him to be the spy at first. And then, of course, out of that, we get the famous margarine scene, in the episode, which everybody loves. And, and nothing more you could say. Besides, again, going back to what I talked about, Uncle Chuck being discovered, but also, Sonic going to him, and, after Sally and Bunny show up and everything, and, Dulcie takes Antoine back to Knothole because Antoine had Dulcie take him there because he wanted to warn Uncle Chuck and all that to prove his worth again. And Sally and Bunny, where they were coming from, is they were coming from the Doomsday Project because, basically what happened is that Rotor recovered out of the swamp one of Robotnik's ships, one of his little SWATbot ships, and he reprogrammed it so not only does it fly, but he also presented Sally with something that she had been waiting for, and that was these pigeons. Because one of the ways they would communicate with Uncle Chuck to find out what was going on was through carrier pigeon. So these things, like almost ravens, if you will, can now have the messages put inside of them, and then they can just remotely take off to wherever they have to go, at faster than a regular pigeon or messenger bird could. And basically, Sally and Bunny, they use this to go undercover, to go into the Doomsday Project to kind of see what it looks like. And then that's when you get the line from Bunny is like, oh my heavens to Bunny, would you look at that ugly old thing? And then you hear Sally respond by saying, only Robotnik could create something that horrible. And the only reason they went there before heading to Robotropolis is because they wanted to get the schematics, to download the schematics about how the Doomsday Project was built, what they can find out about it, so they'll be ready. And it's also here that they find out that Robotnik's onto Uncle Chuck, which is why they showed up there. At the same time, Sonic rescued Antoine and brought him to the meeting area where Dulcie was. And then, of course, Sonic decides, he wants to, because he knows what's going on too, wants to go get Uncle Chuck and bring him back. But then when he arrives, he sees that his old headquarters is destroyed and pretty much gets the idea of, oh crap, what I feared just happened. And Robotnik basically tries to use Uncle Chuck not only to reprogram him back to obey him only, but to get the information of the location of Knothole. And of course, he almost succeeds, but then Sonic shows up in time to make sure that doesn't happen. Then they land, and then what happens afterwards is they show up at another place that looks similar to the old hideout for Uncle Chuck. And, Sonic and Sally and Bunny, they're trying to convince him, hey, look, it's over. You can't do this anymore here. You got to come back with us. Yeah, it'll give us a disadvantage, but hey, you'll be safe. But Uncle Chuck's like, nope, not going to happen because I can still do things here. And he shows that he was prepared. He shows that he was prepared because where they land at is exactly one of his backup areas just in case. Basically, he tells them, look, I was expecting this to happen. And then he goes to the back, and then he comes out disguised as one of those bots that, like I said, had a camera in them that they would find the homing device in. So he pretty much figures out that now he's going to have to spy. If he's going to get around spying for information, that he's going to have to do it really undercover, like in disguise, if you will. But yeah, the episode was great. But yeah, I thought the episode was good. It was a good lead-in to the finale because, he tells him that he's, when Robotnik's defeated, they'll be together. So they need to go back for right now. And, they hug, they embrace. He tells Sonic he'll see him soon. And then after Sonic leaves, he tells Bunny and Sally, take care of him for me, which Sally says they will. Which Sally says they will. They take off. You see a tear coming out of Uncle Chuck's eyes. And then you see the lettering on the bottom or underneath him that says, next week, Doomsday. And that is something important to look at. Anytime a show, no matter how you think about it, anytime they put in letterings next week, this is going to happen, it tells you it's a big deal. And Doomsday Project, the final episode, I've said what I've had to say about it before. Others have said what they've had to say about it before. Heck, even Doug Walker, the Nostalgia Critic, has said what he's had to say about it. Rob the Wonderful, on his Cartoon Clip Show, has said what he's had to say about it. Huey Toonmore, you name it. Everybody has said that this final episode of Sonic SatAM, which was originally meant to be Season 2's finale, is as perfect as an episode as you're going to get. It had everything. It had everything from top to bottom. It had everything. I mean, it plays off everything, if you will. It plays off the fact that, Robotnik pretty much already, still knows that Uncle Chuck is probably spying around. Though instead of, launching the Doomsday Project, at a time that, Uncle Chuck had reported to the Freedom Fighters that it was going to be, he launches it a week early because he knows Chuck's still spying on him somehow. And it's also to catch him off guard, and by doing that, it also allows him to trap them, to capture them, which ends up happening. You have all the Freedom Fighters involved, from Loop, Ari, and all of them getting caught and everything. They try to do a dummy diversion, which doesn't work. Everything. Robotnik basically is ready. He is ready here. And basically he's ready to the fact that he knows Sonic's going to somehow try to destroy the main area, the Diamond Glass Dome, or anything, destroy the main engine area, but he can't because, like I said, it's surrounded by what's known as Diamond Glass. And basically, Robotnik, obviously, we figure out, because when the Freedom Fighters realize, hey, something's not right here, things are not going good, and they realize maybe everybody's been captured, and that maybe, well, Sonic pretty much figures it out. He's like, hey, the plan's blown and everything. You guys got to get out of here. Let me take care of this. I'm the one that needs to take care of this. Because, when they pretty much figure out everything's going, awry, if you will, Sally's like, we're on our own. Sonic's like, no, Sal, I'm on my own. And when Sal tries to argue, Sonic's like, no, Sal, listen, the plan is blown. And everything. You got to get. And so basically you got the freedom fighters leaving, Sonic staying behind with Nicole, because Sally gives him Nicole, to try to at least damage the Doomsday Project enough for them to escape and probably figure something out later on. But this is where we find out initially what the real plans of the Doomsday Project is, in a sense. And it's not just to, finish off what Robotnik started doing the coup back when Sonic and the others were like 5-6 years old. But also, it's to just capture Sonic. That's mainly what it is when you think about it. That it's not just something to, finish off what he started 15 years prior, but it's also mainly a trap for Sonic. Because his main goal, even through this, is to capture and roboticize Sonic. Because when Snively tries to point out, you want me to send people after these freedom fighters? SWAT bots after them? And Robotnik's like, no, I just want the Hedgehog. And Snively tries to argue, well, what if he is a match for you? Robotnik being, you think he's a match for me and all that? Anyway, Robotnik traps, after Sonic fails in trying to blow up the main engine, Robotnik traps him, sucks him through a vent and into a roboticizer that he says he built just for him. And Robotnik thinks that nothing is going to stop him from finally roboticizing Sonic. But he gets proven wrong when Sonic uses not one, not two, but 3 power rings to get himself out of there. And of course, Snively is looking at this, and he says, I tried to warn him, but would he listen? No! So anyway, long story short, we get to the conclusion where, they figure out, well, Sonic, he meets up with the others, he tells them what's going on, and, they have to, come up with a solution, and Uncle Chuck's the one that basically suggests the Power Stones. And Sonic kind of points out, well, we only have one, Robotnik has the other. And then Uncle Chuck says something that, you're watching this, if you're watching it for the first time, you're like, wait a minute, so Robotnik left the most powerful thing he would need behind? Because that shows you how confident of an egomaniac Robotnik is, thinking he wouldn't need it. Because he left the Power Stone in Robotropolis. So Sonic goes and gets it, brings it back, and then that's when him and Sally, go to the main engine, to the main engine area where he tried to destroy it before, to utilize the Power Stones. And this is also where, Sonic once again wants to do it on his own, but Sally says no. She basically puts her hand on his mouth like this and says, we are in this together. Basically saying, if you die, I don't want to be anywhere else but by your side. And that's it. That pretty much is her way of saying, you mean more to me than I could ever imagine. Basically, she's telling him she loves him. So, and this is basically surprises Sonic, like, it's like now he gets it. And then, like I say, they go down there and they figure out, okay, how do we do this? Because one side is incredible power, one side is incredible destruction. And Sonic says, well, why don't we try it the other way, do the incredible power way? And then that's what they do. And they do it just in time. And just in time, before any SWAT bots can, stop them. They connect the Power Stones, obviously absorb the stones and the power into their bodies. And Sally, for a moment, temporarily, gains Sonic's power and speed. That is something that, honestly, I don't think Sega expected. And maybe that's something that upset them. Like, oh, wait a minute, what are you doing here? Well, why are you giving this character, Sonic's power and speed? What are you doing? But yeah, she gets his power and speed. And basically, together, they're able to destroy the Doomsday Project. Robotnik tries to escape. Tries to leave Snively behind, but Snively pretty much is one step ahead, by having an emergency exit ready for him because he knows he would probably be betrayed. And that's one thing during the season that they were establishing, that Snively was getting fed up with Robotnik mistreating him. So anyway, the Doomsday Project is destroyed. And according to what Ben-Hur said, and others have found out, a portal temporarily opened for the Void that Naugus was able to... Well, basically what happened, because of this power surge, Naugus was able to temporarily, by sensing it, open a portal to the Void and drag Robotnik in. He was able to drag Robotnik into the portal. And that's how Robotnik was destroyed. He was defeated. So yeah, Sonic and Sally are happy they won. They high-five. Sally's like, ooh, that works if the power... Well, that happens if the Power Stones are able to do that. What happens with the kids? And then, of course, you get that moment where you see the where she's she's puckering her lips, going right towards Sonic. And Sonic's like, whoa, 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 I don't think I want to find out. Out of here! You know? But of course, you know, later on they do kiss because Sonic, I should say, is like, no more Robotnik. Too bad. And then when Sally's asking him, well, what do you mean by that? And he's like, wait, without him, what's the hero supposed to do? And then Sally says that he'll always be her hero. They kiss. You get them glowing again, and they got fireworks coming out. And then after that, you transition to Snively emerging out of the rubble, out of that emergency exit or elevator he had, basically gloating at the fact that Robotnik allowed himself to get defeated by Sonic, stating that it's now his turn and that he's not alone. And as he walks off, we see the red eyes in the background. And at first you're thinking, is it Metal Sonic? You know, is it Knuckles? No, we find out, according to Ben-Hur, that it was Naugus. Or so he says. All due respect, Godspeed to Ben-Hur. You know, God rest his soul. But that's what he tells us. Although others do have their own interpretation about it. But overall, talking about it and everything, it's just one of those episodes. It's just one of those, you know, unofficial sagas, if you will, unofficial miniseries, multi-part finales for a series that you just can't get enough of. That you have to watch time and time again, which is why numerous times I would attempt to put them all together, not do so well, and then only until like about 2009, almost like what, two years ago? Not 2 years ago, what am I talking about? 12 years ago, was I able to finally make that a reality. If I can bring it out here. Yeah, I was finally able to make this a reality. Because of the fact that it's really good. And again, if you watch it here on my channel, even though I can't monetize off it, while Brain is allowing it to be up there, you can see exactly how good it is. And you can watch it in both high definition and 4K. I have it on both formats, if you will. So you can watch it either way, 4K or on 1080p. But yeah, that's why I made it like this. It's one of those that you just have to see as a movie because it's that good. Heck, I even made another copy right there. You know, it's that good. It's really that good, and I can't recommend it anymore, if you will. But overall, even though this wasn't originally intended to be a series finale, as a finale for that time, I thought it did a great job. All the episodes that led up to it, the Void, the Prelude episode, all the episodes, you know, from, you know, Cry of the Wolf to Doomsday Project, I thought did a fabulous job, did a fantastic job. And even when you look earlier in the season, all the seeds that were being planted as to what was going to be revealed later on towards the end, you know, I thought were great. I just thought they were great. You know, they were, you know, ingeniously done to a T by Ben-Hur and the creative crew. I truly believe that. I don't think anybody would disagree, period. But anyway, though, guys, that's going to do it for this episode review. Probably one of the longest I've done on the overall Doomsday Project Saga of Sonic SatAM. Let me know what your thoughts are down below. Comment if you like. The video links to both the 4K and the 1080p version will be provided here at the end of the video. Check them out if you want. And that's all I can say till next time, guys. God bless. Take care. Get vaccinated if you can. And I am out.